Poetry is often cast as cryptic, incomprehensible nonsense written by people who think too much of themselves. While I consider this to be purely a stereotype, I don't think the best way to experience poetry is the way, all the nerds who think too much of themselves want you to experience it. So I'm going to talk about the value of poetry and art itself in our daily lives, and I'm going to exemplify this through Magic the Gathering cards. As you can probably tell, being a nerd is not a criticism I can rightly lob at anyone. But hear me out, because this is really about how we interact with art in our daily lives, and how taking just a moment to appreciate the little details that are woven into our everyday interactions can bear so much fruit. I want to talk about two examples of poetry and magic. One is the Love Song of Night and Day, an entire poem written before any magic card was created for it, and then broken up and disseminated through the flavor text on magic cards from 1996 all the way until very recently in 2019. The next is on the card Lightning Bolt, specifically the 10th edition printing discussed in Rhystic Studies video. Both of those will be linked in the description. The Love Song of Night and Day is a poem written by Jenny Scott and published in the Duelist magazine before being printed on any magic card. It was used to create some flavor for the card designers when creating characters and cards for the jungle theme setting of the set. Each of the cards featured with flavor text from this poem somehow reflect the story and setting the poem creates for the reader, be it through the art, the mechanics, or just the card name. This cohesion of gameplay, art, and text creates this wonderful effect that empowers and enriches the experience of even the most casual play session. A highlight from this crop of now 19 cards is definitely on the card Unfulfilled Desires. Its flavored text contains the final lines of the poem, which reads as follows. Like day from night, I'll live my life apart from you, just glimpsing you across the sky. Because you cannot change, my dear, and nor can I. While on its own, even outside of the context of the whole poem, I think this has some very nice prose and contains a lot of emotion just in and of itself. And when it was disseminated to people through the card, this is all they had. But the mechanics of the card really reflect the mood of these lines, where you slowly pay your life as you continually brush with what could have been through card draw and discard. The other card we will focus on is Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt is one of Magic's most famous cards, and everybody loves Lightning Bolt, in moderation of course, and when we don't have Lightning Bolt, it flashes in the mind of every red mage before they finally lull themselves to sleep. This was the case for many years during the time in between 4th edition and the 2010 core set, where it was not standard legal. The flavor text of Lightning Bolt reads, The spark mage shrieked, calling on the rage of the storms of his youth. To his surprise, the sky responded with a fierce energy he never thought to see again. The language here perfectly represents the mechanics of the card. Words like Spark Mage, Shriek, and Rage of the Storms are all telling of an awesome and powerful spell that will rip apart the sky and destroy anything with its awesome power, which is exactly what Lightning Bolt does. It's a simple card that deals damage to any target. It also calls on to the notion of nature, which gives the reader a point of reference for what this kind of power entails, and communicates the lore of the broader story of the game, where mages harvest mana from the land. That is what the player is. The poem is handcrafted for the card, and its presence there gives the card so much more emotional weight and makes using it and playing with it a really unique experience. The Magic player seeing this card enter the game again after so many years, the new, striking, bold art, and the flavor text overtly referencing the player and the role the card is now occupying in the game. All of this is creating this card that perfectly comments on itself, the game, the players, and it's also able to be used within the rules of that game. The meta-narrative of the card alone is a gargantuan achievement. With its striking prose and its emotional weight, these few lines create an experience for the reader no other medium could provide. Unintended art can also be pulled from this game. There have been many found poetry pieces created through the rules and flavor text using the blackout method that is often used in newspapers to create these very unique and interesting found poetry pieces. What I'm showing you now was created by Allison Parrish. I mention these here to highlight that all art is a very interactive experience, no matter the medium. You have to comprehend and interpret the art for yourself, and whether you do that through simply thinking about it or actively modifying and changing the art in the physical world is to find something new. There is no art without you, and it's everywhere around us. So be good to yourself and pay some attention to it, because you're limiting yourself gravely if you think you can only find poetry in a book or paintings in a museum. There's artistry all around us at all times, and it is our responsibility to realize the effort that was put into creating it.